we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna do it because I've lost the will with this. I sat down in the swivel chair in my father's office with his desk massively symbolic between us. I realised that I could never defend myself. What was my defence but one small word which I dared not utter because jazz singers and hypercritical preachers and Dorothy Dix had so maligned it? Love? Stuff and nonsense, my mum would say. It's loyalty, decency, and common standards of behaviour that count. But her eyes were like medieval wildman in her head, clutching at her dismayed days that brought them no rest. But from my father I'd hoped for no more. He could spread his mind out before you like the evidence of a case. But if he saw emotion approaching, he smiled painfully, rocking in the swivel chair, hoping it would pass. Aren't you just a little obsessed about this thing? And then the whole parade of unbelievers filed past, the leering police thugs, the insinuations of Mr. Wordle and his conversational pinpricks. Then I have it from you. There is such a thing as love? Well-meaning matrons who, from their insulated living, my dear, I think you would regret it afterwards if you broke up after a marriage. When you felt it about to happen, the right thing would have been to have gone away at once, and always battalions of blind men carrying placards of public vote. If he needs money, why doesn't he get a job? What does he know of love that lets his country down in her hour of need? Dear God, how sympathetic the frozen Chaudier Falls scene under the December sky compared with these inflexible faces. Even the snow is protected from the next generation, which sleeps. They, who talk of a greater love, what is underneath the long cold of their look? They warm no bud of humanity under their semblance, for it is no semblance. I am the green leprechaun of legends. What? Yeah, okay, Elizabeth Smart. I am the green leprechaun of legends, knocking at the houses asking for bread to find out who is kind. All I wanted, though none are kind. I am saving my money for the Red Cross. What war work are you doing, my dear? Go, my little brother, so that more and better blood may flow to be mopped up with floppy coincidences. He has his hair cropped off like a convict and joins jokingly in bloodthirsty games. I've never met this guy, but he sounds to me like a cad. Did you know that 11,000 faces identical with Christ's are growing thinner in the federal prison? They had no money, no guns, and their trousers were not creased. The policeman who grows fatter each day and rivals the new tanks. He blots out the doorway from the little cafe. A couple sees him spill milk at the counter, remember what they did under the bridge last night. But the policeman is blind. He strikes only when he hears a loud noise. There are others, though, who have eyes like shifty hawks, and they prowl the streets, searching for a face whereon an illegal kiss might be forming. No, there's no defence for love, and tears will only increase the crime. Be reasonable. Be usual. You clever girl. You got brains. Get busy. Make something of yourself. So there's no obsequies. Obsequies? Obsequies. Obsequies. I don't know what that word means. There is to be no mention of that which was to have conquered the world after the world death. Not all of those martyrs nailed to every tree in the Western Hemisphere will find favour in the editor's measuring eye, or the amusement page to fill up space, 1.5 inch perhaps, of those who were forced to die. Butter is up 10 cents. The human being is down. It's World War II, I think. Possibly. Remember Ottawa on New Year's Eve sulking under snow and you with Quincy cutting your New Year's wishes in two? My mother said, no, I don't want nothing more to do with you. And I put my hand out to say goodbye. My father over the phone said, let me know where you are. Weary, Kurt, he said, out of your bruised throat. Don't have reactions against me because I spit phlegm. You did me the most prejudice. Where are you going then? Anywhere to be together alone. Such a wish offends all people who have less than love in their pockets. Besides, it's time here to put on uniforms, not nightgowns. It is no use asking them what good I would be, who, without you, became a corpse, a dead weight, questioned in the court one must fish haphazardly for the answers they won. The very word love offends with its nudity. It stopped being practical when the most expensive camel stuck in the needle's eye. When I left Ottawa, I said, whom shall I say goodbye to? But I could think of no one. Some greet me with genuine smiles, but years of my absence pass without their notice, and my conversation to them seems protestation. Do I delight in shocking my elders? Don't I care to win the war? I'm in World War Two. There have been men who have been more remembered than nations, and nations of men that have been willing to die for a word. Then my word or your word. Don't be impotent, child. There's my sister at home, the son of hostage, fighting for one more week free to win a job. There's my aunt, like a harpy of relentlessness, fighting to get all the women into uniform. Who dares breathe pleasure when war is the word, but not yet the actuality? Here the gospel of war covers over the goal, which might in small decrees even be present now. In London, they know this better, and strangers kiss in underground shelters or find jokes in bombed effigies. Be at hypocrisy's funeral, oh my dear country, and pay the usual hypocritical tear. Mine, I am saving for another event. Which event, if you, my dearest, by now shall have proved to be the other than I hope it be, will have a burial by salt sea tear more memorable than a Romanian debris and a one-woman battle as bloody as 10 million men's. For I was raised for this event with more than 3-day burial, and I would have built memorials to last longer than 2,000 years. From this conjunction of impossibilities might have arisen a generation whose eyes knew to praise such meteors and carry a legend like a banner before them. Not that I wish to blaspheme or to say, see where I am. I only wish to say, remember Ottawa New Year's Eve? On that day which was so threatened and whose antagonists it was not nothing to have said pooh to. I did choose without influence or fanfare or any signpost to point me anywhere but away from you. Neither reason, nor sense, nor greed, nor pity, nor perficery, nor worldly wisdom, nor expediency, nor filial duty gave my hand to yours. No one can say I was carried away that hour. So I say now, for the record of my own self, and to remember when I may be other than I am now, in spite of everything so strong of dissuasion, so rampant in disrefusal. I saw then that there was nothing else, anything but this one thing, that neither nunneries or specific islands or jungles, nor all the jazz in America, nor the frenzy of the war zones could hide any corner which housed an ounce of consolation if this failed. In all the states of being, in all worlds, this is all there is. Remember also that I said, though this is all there is, though it is one to be vulnerable, mortal to attack a province-stricken word against the highly financed world, yet is not meagre, it's enough. I do not accept it sadly or ruefully or wistfully or in despair. I accept it without tomorrows and without any lilies of promise. It's enough the now, and though it comes without anything, it gives me everything. With it I could repopulate all the world. I could bring forth new worlds and underground shelters while the bombs are dropping above. I could do it in the lifeboats as the ship goes down. I could do it in the prisons with the guards' permission, and oh, when I do it quietly in the lobby while the conference is going on, a lot of statesmen will emerge twirling their moustaches, seeing the blood birth, and know that they have been foiled. Love is strong as death. So tonight we will put the whole untidy world into a nest. We will hang it swiftly, comfortably, as if it was far away and glossed over by history as the Red Indians' right to be free. Whether or not your Quincy controls all our thoughts and actions, the night will be lined with silk and surrounded by hours of peace. Ghostless, luxurious. It will be a sleep that is a sleep. Not just an ether to dispose of 12 more useless hours. Sleep that will be on its own, not the weight of the passing of time, the time. I shall be able now whether or not to make me weep, to include the landscape as I hurry home, to be influenced by the meanest birch or pine, or a triangular light may teach me as I zip my yellow tunic at the morning window. Why should I be so paradoxically showered on now by the incidentals of delight, now when I am most rich and most invulnerable? I could have used them so well, even one of them I could have made them into a great sign. I was talking streetcars to and from my mother's house, and every sense desolated, where not to have you was alone too much to taste of hell, and my mother's clutch held me every way. The claws of biology and pity and hysterical hypnotism made me long for my annihilation. Can even Freud explain the terror of that clutch, the inescapability of the greed of authority, and why it was stronger than the northeast wind, memory, reason, or Precambrian wrong? No, it's outside the category, the explanation of the lies in the footnote, that admits phenomena and disturbing fact, but it has no answer to why certain angels have halos of singing birds, or why Balder had mistletoe growing out of his heel. But as long as the accessories are such now as to make me overarmed with weapons to combat the antagonistic wills, even if 1,000 programs go wrong, I will lament the past when I won't lament that past I was when I could see no future. You may be an invalid for life, or paralytic, or leprous. We may starve in gutters or follow the plague. I shall still have a pocket full of rye, whose currency no foreign exchange can control, nor value by diminished by transplantation. How long is this? Oh my god! We've dipped back to this poetic voice of Smarts. This is not a book I'm really understanding. This is like way past my ability to process what's going on. Remember also when you hold your so vulnerable head between your hands, that what we are being punished for, and worse, what we're being punished for, is not just that sea of peace we achieve when you call me you bitch, but my cause, my soul. For sometimes when this aspect of water swoons such a rich retinue, we say we are too happy, we are too rich and strong, and then overcome by guilt or shame, be favoured, we wave and say it is unfair that the weak and the unlucky ones suffer and we don't. But if you do me the wrong of thinking I am beautiful, that I have a million rescuers from despair, therefore I can take calamity better than anyone else, remember truly, it is only you who bestow even the gifts upon me. Therefore how much greater my loss must be, which takes away what is appeared to be mine by nature, my power to endure and resist. Remember, I am not temptation to you, but everything which inclines you away. Nor are you to me but my entire goals. Sometimes you see this as clearly as I do now, for you say, do you think if I didn't, I could have pity like a beggar child sidles up to you with beseeching palm and eye more moving than beauty, or walking down Third Avenue. You hear the mice squeak in the housewives' traps. Do you hear me then? As the too successful one, like a colossus whose smug thighs rise obliviously out of sorrow, or as the detestable all-female all grabs and devours invulnerable with greed? Alas, these thoughts are your sins, your garments of shame, but not the blonde sapling boys with blue eyeshadow leaning amorously towards you in the print shop. There are some who love Lucifer because he lost the battle with God. The devil had some justice on his side, and perhaps something was rotten in the state of heaven then. I don't think I've seen chipmunks' tails abandoned on logs to save their lives, nor gnawed rabbit paws in traps mixed up with steel. When I hurry down the street, it's not a game. I hold up my hand and play with the passers-by, but the shyness which keeps seamstresses nervously peering out at the badly lit rooms, half hidden behind the drab lace, preferring to dream over their gas jets the mild tea than submit to the rude investigations of the world. They are such, you know, and they treat their possessions gently, as if they were children or animals. But don't think they overlooked thousands of angels yearn over them, and even now embroidering them skirts and getting ready to teach them the rumba. Yeah, cool. This is great. Who weeps for the angels, though, or notices when they turn aside to stiffen their upper lips? Not that I claim to be an angel too, but I know that even to be greatly bright and happy raises enemies. Only remember, I am not the e's but the n. I am not to blind. I am not to blind you, but to find you. What you think is the siren singing to lure you to your doom is only the voice of the inevitable, welcoming you after so long a wait. I was made only for you. Eons have been evolving, and planets disintegrated and forming to compel these two together. If this enormous conspiracy of your watching fate fails, don't see how I will be blamed. Oh, it will be no use to show them your son and say, look, I've salvaged this from blood. Don't you know how weary they are of procrastination? You are the hour of the generation they marked for result. And also, your son does not step down out of his hammock to be anyone's scapegoat, but to collect his own apple with his own sin. And his son, too, will do at the proper time. Stick my flap back in. That's how I feel.